This right here is United Wholesale Mortgage CEO Matt Ishbia. You've probably never heard of him, but as the leader of the nation's #1 wholesale mortgage lender, Matt has insights into the housing market that few people in the world possess. And what he just said in his televised interview will simply shock you. On YouTube, there have been a flurry of videos claiming that the housing market bubble has come to an end. Prices, which have been rising exponentially since 2019, have left hundreds of thousands of Americans frustrated and worried about their future. Many are simply priced out of the markets, with each attractive listing now receiving multiple offers well over sticker price. This landscape has left millions wondering when all of this market speculation will collapse back to normal pre-pandemic pricing levels. CNBC recently put out this video claiming that a 4% drop in new home sales was the signal that marks the end of this euphoric era. Stephan Graham, Mcelroy, and many others have all uploaded videos that claim the same exact thing. So is it true? Are we seeing the end of the housing bubble? Well, to answer this question, I'm not going to give you my humble opinion. Instead, I'll let the experts speak. Matt Ishbia was interviewed just 6 days ago on CNBC, and he, in my opinion, should know a thing or two about the housing situation in the near term. Take a listen to his shocking analysis.
We're seeing it across the board. I think prices are definitely going up, but rates are still so low. So we haven't seen a big slowdown. We actually had a great second quarter. We think the third quarter is going to be even better at UWM. And so we're excited about what's going on. I think the slowdown is there's obviously a little lack of inventory out there. People that are in forbearance aren't selling their homes. And so as that comes out, I think the market's going to stay hot through the end of the year.
Give us a little sense here, though, Matt, as to sort of what the breakdown in the types of mortgages that you're seeing. Are these basically people coming in, buying a home for the first time with a 30-year? Are these refinancings? What are you seeing?
It's a good mixture. As rates tick up, and they did in the second quarter, they're kind of come down a little bit lately, but as they tick up, there'll be a lot less refinances. And so companies that are reliant on only refinance, you'll see a lot less of that. We're seeing a lot of purchase. We had an all-time record purchase quarter. We're going to continue to grow in the purchase. So purchase is, I won't say cycle-proof, but a lot less cyclical than the refinance. And so we're seeing a lot more purchase than refi.
As you just heard there, Matt is predicting something that goes against everyone's assumptions. He's predicting that his company is headed towards a record-breaking Q3. Even housing giant Zillow is in agreement. If you check their projections, prices will continue skyrocketing until December of 2021, where they will slow down but still continue to head up. Reading over their most recent report, it's clear that housing has indeed seen some roadblocks. We've got a couple of headwinds that are slowly bringing down the market. But regardless of these issues, it's projected that prices will continue to rise well into 2022. Despite the fact that these don't even take into account the recent extended moratorium ordered by the CDC, a move previously thought to be legally impossible. This act will undoubtedly challenge inventories even further. Millions were supposedly on deck to be evicted this September, but with this new act, this supposed inventory flux will likely be further delayed. Then we have the biggest question of all, interest rates. Rates continue to be near or at all-time lows. The average 30-year fixed rate in the United States right now is around 2.8%. This has been the case for more than a year now, with rates under 3% since July of 2020. Most analysts are projecting slightly higher rates for the second half of 2021, but nothing that would offset this influx of buyers coming in and locking down record-breaking rates that are artificially pushed down by the Federal Reserve. Take a listen to Matt explain exactly this.
Why are you so positive on the third quarter, Matt? Why are people going to still be going out there and buying new homes?
Because there's a lot of opportunity. Rates are very low. And the truth is, people see homes differently than they saw pre-pandemic. And so since COVID, we're seeing a lot more people realize that, hey, buying a house with maybe a couple extra bedrooms or maybe with a little bit of yard matters more. Home is something different than it did pre-pandemic. And so we've seen a lot more purchase than I think a lot of the reports are showing. And so it's been very good. And obviously we work with mortgage brokers who are local in the community. And so we have a little bit more of a, in the weeds approach, and we feel that right now. And so purchase has been great. I see it continuing. Rates are low. Housing is gonna continue to be strong. It might not go up 10% a year, but it's not gonna go down, or go down significantly. We see it being very strong going forward.
If you were not aware, the Fed has been buying up mortgage-backed securities, the same investment vehicle that brought down the entire market in 2008. While these MBSs are supposedly more secure than those before the Great Recession, it's still very alarming to many people to see the government essentially step into the markets and buy up these securities at record-breaking pace. Looking over the chart, you can see the exponential rise since the pandemic. This rise is showing no signs of tapering, with the Fed outright acknowledging that it will do whatever is necessary to prop up the housing market. We are supposedly living in a capitalistic society where the government doesn't get involved in the markets, but the sheer amount of buying the Fed is doing is making the MBS market look nationalized. You may think the bank owns your home, but in reality it's likely these people. Others within the Federal Reserve, like St. Louis President James Bullard, have even went out and indirectly admitted something that should not surprise you. Take a listen to this interview clip from June.
Okay, that's interesting. In terms of mortgage-backed securities or the Treasury market, I mean, at this point, the Fed is about half the Treasury market. Would you anticipate you move out of Treasuries first, or you move out of mortgage-backed securities?
You know, there's a lot of discussion about the mortgage-backed securities. I don't know where that's going to go. I'm leaning a little bit toward the idea that maybe we don't need to be in mortgage-backed securities with a booming housing market and even a threatening housing bubble here, right, according to some people. So we don't want to get back in the housing bubble game. That caused us a lot of distress in the 2000s. So we'll see where this comes out. Some people argue that there's not much difference between MBS and Treasuries anyway, so there's no reason to go one way or the other. But I would be a little bit concerned about feeding into the housing froth that seems to be developing.
The problem with what James just stated is that the rest of the Federal Reserve, including Jay Powell, is very shy to taper anything. They are stuck between a rock and a hard place. Once any signs of tapering starts, the markets will likely react violently, especially now with new data showing concerning amounts of inflation and rising case counts throughout the country. The Fed, if anything, will increase the amount of MBSs they're buying if the economy does begin to show signs of weakness in this coming winter. In my opinion, Jay Powell has two choices, both of which are terrible. 1. Continue buying up MBSs and feed the housing bubble. Or 2. Stop and taper and watch as the economy and stock market crash. We know what his choice will be. Kick the can down the road and make it someone else's problem. The market can continue to run for years, and he's not going to be the guy to end this big party. Of course, on the other side of that argument, many will say that housing prices have already become out of reach for most people. And while I see this point, I believe many are underestimating just how many Americans are willing to overpay for a home, because month after month, they see the prices rise exponentially. It's inflationary psychology. After almost a year of crazy rises, pressure to buy before it gets even crazier increases. A game of how far can we stretch the American consumer, and unfortunately, I think we're still far off that mark. Before you know it, last year's prices will become the new normal, and new levels will become reachable. Of course there's a limit, of course it's a bubble, but timing it just right or predicting when it pops is almost impossible, as these things can take years to play out. Thank you guys for watching. As always, please make sure you hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed. Also, if you're thinking about diversifying some of your net worth into crypto, please consider using my affiliate link for BlockFi below. I've been using the service for almost 3 months now and have earned some pretty serious interest on top of some crypto gains.